Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another interactive, informative, and educative session with JuCE. Thank you all for joining in once again. It's good to have you all here, and we are hoping that we are going to have an interesting time today. We are going to learn something new. We are going to understand something very important. In fact, this particular topic is something that we should be keen on understanding what it entails. It may look easy, but by the time our speakers will be giving us insight into it, we'll now understand the importance of chemistry in our everyday life. So I want to say welcome to everyone for joining in. Please, I would like you to introduce yourself, your name, your school, your class, if you're a parent, your name and where you are joining in from. It's very important so that we can recognize you as you join in. So once again, welcome. We are way behind schedule. It was scheduled for 11, but we are starting at 11:10, but we'll do our best to keep to work with time, so that because we know time is of the essence, so we'll do our best to stick to our time, and we are hoping that you will have a productive time with us. So once again, my name is Salome Isaiah. I am the administrative and program manager for JuCE Africa, and once again I say welcome. Quickly, as you know, JuCE is a not-for-profit organization. We are passionate about children, helping them to define their career paths early enough. And one of the most frequently questioned a child is being asked is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And these questions, you ask them at different times, at different circumstances, you see they give you different answers. Because one, it may be what is fascinating them at that moment, or it may be something they have seen and, oh, they want to be it. So you see at different points in time, they have different answers to this particular question. But why we are here is to help these children define their career path early enough and follow through. So being at JuCE, we are expecting that at the end of the JuCE, you are one step closer to your clarity of purpose. You are one step closer to knowing what you want to do and how to go about it. So that is why we are always insisting parents, educators, teachers, students should join in, because there is something to learn from. Even we as adults, that we are no longer teenagers, we are still learning, because we are still in our career journey. So we pick up a lot of things on our way and we learn. So this particular program is for everyone. So always do well to join us for our program and be part of it. So some of the solutions we are bringing as JuCE Africa, like this session we are having, is a career spotlight and presentation, and also the fireside chat. So this is a solution to some of the career exposure deficit that we have observed in the lives of Nigerian children. You know, people are not being exposed. They're only aware of the traditional careers. They don't even know what it entails, even in that, what it takes to even scale through in that particular traditional career they're used to. So we are here to give them a lot of career exposure, to expose them to a lot of career paths, which will help them in making informed decisions. So we also have our the internship and the open day for them to meet with young professionals, you know, to ask questions, you know, to keep abreast with trending global professions and opportunities. We also have the mentor-mentee, where young ones are paired to mentors in their areas of interest, for them to shadow their mentors and see how things are done, which will help them also shape their career and their future. Also, we have the university preparation program, where we talk about things to do, how to prepare and shaping yourself for global opportunities. With all these programs, with all the solutions JuCE is bringing, it's all in line with helping teenagers, helping children define and build their career paths early enough. So we cannot overemphasize our vision here at JuCE. You know, we are very passionate about seeing that these children's career paths are intentionally thought through, developed, and chosen. And we are trying to build a future where where these children will have purpose, will have clarity and intentionality about what they are set out to do. So it is always important that you are part of this. And how do you come in? We have our virtual sessions twice in a month. That's every 2 weeks. We have as our career presentation, fireside chats, on university programs on different topics. Our topics are tailored to speak to the things that we know will help these children grow, will help these children have a clarity of purpose. So it's one thing is very important for you to always attend our virtual programs. Another thing is for you to connect with our social media handles, share our content to people within your network. You know, you can also become a member by coming in to share your area of expertise with us and with the children. You can be a mentor to mentor these young ones in helping them build and develop their career path. You can also be a sponsor to sponsor our programs, to sponsor our activities, and you can also be a career partner. There are a lot of things you can do. And what is important is you should tell others about JuCE. Tell others about JuCE. Share our programs. Share the things we do to your network, to your friends, to people around you. Let them know what we do at JuCE. And most importantly, because this is the reason why we are here, ensure that you connect a teenager to JuCE today. Ensure that the teenagers around you, in your church, in your environment, connect them to JuCE, because this is the reason we are here. We are here for them. We are here to help them grow. We are here to help them build their career path. So it's very important that we work hand in hand to achieve this. So quickly, without wasting much of our time, because we have a lot of things to do. In fact, today is loaded. I have my pen, I have my biro, my pen, my notepad to jot things down, because it's going to be an interesting one. Chemistry. Oh, I remember way back in secondary school how we used to do all those compound and H2SO4 and all those things. So yeah, we have professionals in that field that will be speaking to us today. So I'm very keen on, there are a lot of things we can pick up on this. So I want everyone to sit tight, get your writing materials, jot things down. As our speakers will be speaking, note down your questions, and you will have a session where you can ask your questions and they would provide answers. So without wasting much of our time, I'm going to be introducing our speakers. It's just going to be a brief introduction, because they will do it themselves. They are going to explain their career journey themselves. but, but I know that these two people, I read their bio and I was amazed. I was stunned. I was like, chemistry that we wouldn't want to accept when we're giving as a course of study in the university, and people are doing great, amazing things in chemistry. And that is why we have them on board here. So I'm going to start with Fola and Caleb. She's a lecturer, in Federal University of Health and Sciences. She's also a PhD student, University of Reading, UK. So you can imagine the chemistry, her brain must be fire. So I'm just going to do that brief introduction, and I'll let her walk us through how she even got into that chemistry space and her journey so far. Also, we are having Caleb Ojo. Caleb Ojo, we thank you for being on our program today. He's also a PhD student with Charles Darwin. I was like, we have one Charles Darwin theory. So I'm going to ask him later. After that, okay, he also obtained his BSc in industrial chemistry. So you see, these are chemistry professionals. So please sit tight. They are going to give us more info about what they do, and we will have a lot to take home today. So welcome, Fola. Welcome, Caleb. Over to you.
Salome, just a quick one before they go. I think one of the most important of Fola's um amazing pedigrees, which we forgot to mention, is that Fola is the vice chairperson of JuCE,
Oh,
right? So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so
yes. Yeah.
so yeah,
Sorry for that oversight. Yeah.
a lot of the work that we do here and a lot of the stuff we do here is very ably supported by Fola. So yeah, so that's why I'm really excited that, she's going to be speaking today. And of course, just to show how amazing she is as a VP, this presentation was meant to be done by her. And she's like, you know what, I'm going to bring in a colleague who can, support us to shed more light so that students can get even more value for this. So I'm just saying, Fola is amazing, but also she's brought in an amazing person. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, so take it away, Fola and Caleb.
Okay, thank you guys for that introduction. Uh, so this presentation would be by myself and Caleb, and we'll be taking you through our journey in chemistry, giving you more insight into what being a chemist entails and sharing career paths in chemistry. And you can see I came prepared with my chemistry is awesome t-shirt. So at the end of today's section, I really should have been able to convince you that chemistry is truly awesome. So yeah, thank you very much. I would hand over to Caleb to start.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, okay. I was just trying to mute myself. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. For the opportunities. I'm happy to be here, and it's an interesting work that you guys are doing, and I just want to say well done, uh, on that work. Okay, so for that, I thought you were going to start the slides, but anyway, I'll I will start. Introduction to chemistry. I'll just draw back from maybe how I was introduced to chemistry, and it's I think one of the greatest gifts that a student can have is a very, very good teacher, especially a teacher that is not just teaching for the sake of getting money, but is also has passion for the subject and has interest in the students. So what I think one of my very first chemistry classes, the teacher entered and said, okay, he was going to define chemistry. And it didn't define chemistry as what you see on your screen, a branch of science and everything. I think that would have been very boring if you had defined it as that. But it gave a particular definition that has stuck with me for over how many years now? That's like, wow, maybe like 15 years, and I still have that definition in my head. And he said chemistry is life, and life is chemistry. So it basically told us from the very beginning that there's nothing you are doing that you would not find chemistry. And I think that's one of the things we'll try to show you in this series of presentations, um, about how flexible and useful chemistry is. And at the fundamental basis, chemistry deals with atoms and elements and um, chemical reactions and just the chemical components of several substances and how these processes work. But rather than going into that, I would like you to just believe that in everything you're doing, you would find chemistry. I think we can move on to the next slide.
Okay, I will come in before we go
All
on. So
right.
we'll take turns. So just to buttress what Caleb has said, while we were in the university, we had the Chemical Student Society, and the slogan was, "What on earth is not chemistry?" And truly,
Uh,
in everything, there is chemistry. And on this slide, the boring things I wrote, I wrote that there's a chemistry is basically what bridges the gap between the physics and biology. And I would always call chemistry the superior science because without chemistry, physics will be shaky. And without chemistry, biology will be shaky. And this is truly the beauty of chemistry. Basically brings something very minute and then it just magnifies it into something super useful and beneficial to the environment. So it's not all just talk, it's not all just theory, as opposed to what a lot of people think. It's very practical. Almost the reason why we have this shirt we are wearing today is because of chemistry. That's textile chemistry. The reason why you have your Caleb can wear his glasses. There's chemistry, there's literally chemistry behind everything. The reason why our hair is coily, the reason why our hair is a particular color, it's all chemistry, color chemistry, the chemistry of air. So there's literally chemistry in everything. And yes, so thank you. We can go on to the next slide.
Okay, so in this slide, we're just looking at my chemistry journey, and the importance of this slide is just to serve to inspire those who are considering studying chemistry in the university, or those who are already studying chemistry in the university. I'm assuming that we have that mix of students in our midst. So, the typical story. Now, let me start back from what I began to say. So what happened was I wasn't. Maybe I was intelligent. I think I was I was intelligent, but I wasn't doing extremely well in the junior secondary class, like GS1 and GS2. I was struck. I was maybe in the average level. But when I got to SS1, senior secondary um class one, and then I met this teacher that I was talking about. One of the things he did was he inspired us to love chemistry. And you will find out that we were always eager to attend the chemistry class because number one, it would teach it dramatically, like it would take these very abstract concepts and present it very well. And then it would throw questions. And then if and usually the class would happen before break time. So if you get some of those questions, you get money that you can use to go eat buy snacks for break time. So it really made chemistry interesting. And then because of that, I began to do really well. And he continued to encourage me. So because of that, I developed a love for chemistry and I was doing really well. And that was like a pivot moment for me where I started doing well academically because of the interaction with that teacher. So, so the typical story of typical things parents would want for their children, a typical Nigerian parent would be, okay, the firstborn, you you're a doctor, the secondborn, you are a lawyer, the thirdborn, you are you are what's the other one? Engineer. Yes, so those are the only three courses that that exist basically. And so we from some of we've already been prophesied that not literally prophesied, but they've already assigned this career plan to every one of us. So I was supposed to be the doctor, and then I applied to first and the best university, University of Ibadan, to study medicine. And um, what and my second choice I think was chemistry. I just put chemistry there or something. I don't know. So what happened? Something funny happened in the whole assessment method, and I didn't get in for medicine. So the other option was now to go for chemistry. And from when I think back about it, I realized that I think God's hand of providence was involved because it was a miscalculation they did that and made me end up in chemistry. So what happened was when I got into the university to study chemistry, the initial thought or the initial reception was you would feel like you are not as good as those who are studying medicine, which is a very big lie And as you will see in this journey that I'm going to describe for you, it would show you how valuable chemistry is. And just to give you an idea of how terrible I initially felt, it was for the first 1 year in my department, I refused to mix with my department people. I made friends with a lot of medical students, so I refused to accept the reality that I was in chemistry for like a year. It was on the 200 level, and I just accepted I am here. Let me accept the truth, and I started making friends with my colleagues and all that. But what began to happen was that mindset began to change as I began to do very well in chemistry, and I began to love where I was. And I began to realize that, okay, if I had studied medicine, of course, maybe I might have done well because I was smart, but it wouldn't have, that is not where I want to be, especially because of the way my brain works and because of the things I'm interested in. I'm a very, what's the word now? I'm a very active person. I love to do a lot of things. I love to come up with ideas, do a lot of activities. Medicine would not have allowed me to do that because I would just have to have focus on medicine. But chemistry comes with a lot of flexibility. So down the journey, studying industrial chemistry, I came out with a first class, one of the best students. And then on that point, this is what I would say. For those already studying chemistry, all you just have to do is to put in your best. As long as you put in your best, there's nothing you will not be able to achieve. I put in my best, I came out with a very good result. And then that began to open doors for me. Because of doing very well in my chemistry, like that 4 years in the university, I got a very good place to do my youth service. It was easy to get a good place. And then I got a scholarship to do a master's in the University of Ibadan because of chemistry. And you can see how flexible chemistry is. You see, I started with industrial chemistry and then I moved to analytical chemistry. And all that was funded. And then finishing my master's in analytical chemistry, I went and did another master's in the UK in environmental science. It's only chemistry that would afford you such flexibility, the ability to move from industrial chemistry, analytical chemistry, and still do environmental science. And still that program in environmental science was also funded. And then I came back to Nigeria, worked as an environmental scientist, and worked there for a while. And now I'm doing my PhD in chemical engineering in Australia. So the highlight of this journey is when you put in your best, there's nowhere you cannot go because of the very flexible nature of chemistry. So I hand over to Fola of our own story.
Okay, thank you. Please, can you go on to the next slide? Oops, no. Okay, thank you. So, unlike Caleb that wanted to study medicine and got chemistry, I put in chemistry in my jam form, which is quite unusual for an average Nigerian student. And I had a number of reasons why I did that. I'd always been interested in science, I'd always been curious. And when I started senior school, SS1, it just seemed like I was getting answers in chemistry class on why things were that, even physics also. So I'd always been interested in science. So when the time came for me to pick a course for university, it wasn't the easiest of choices because my parents wanted me to study pharmacy, but I wasn't very sure if I really wanted to study pharmacy. And I'd always known I would lecture or I would teach. I'd always liked to teach. So I wanted a course where I could pivot into something else at the end of the day if I wasn't so comfortable with the course. So again, it was a bit from indecision. If I had JuCE that time, maybe it would have been an easier decision. But chemistry was the course that could allow me to study medicine if I really wanted to, or go back into pharmacy if I really wanted to. So it was the tie was between chemistry and biochemistry. And at the end of the day, I settled for chemistry because, again, I felt biochemistry was still under chemistry, and just chemistry was just all embodied on its own. And I was really fascinated about practicals. When we were doing SS3, we had titration experiment, and I used to be so fascinated with the change in color. And it just seemed like, oh, once I enter university, we'll be doing more advanced stuff. Even though the reality in Nigeria was a bit different from what I expected, but it was still a very good experience for me. So I would say my own chemistry journey has been intentional. So I got in wanting to study chemistry. I chose chemistry, and I also wanted a course with little competition. I wanted to get admission that year, and I had, oh, can you all hear me? It says my internet is. I had
I can hear you
256.
clearly.
Yes. So I had 256 in JAM, and I knew the competition wasn't going to be as stiff as pharmacy or medicine. So I wanted to do something I wanted without it being forced on me. And this was why I chose chemistry. And then I went in for pure and applied chemistry. Again, the reality was a bit different from what I'd expected. I just expected all practicals, no theory, discovering great things. But I soon realized that that's not only what chemistry entails. And then for my youth service, I opted to teach at a school of science. So I was a chemistry teacher, and that was my first rodeo with teaching, which was a good experience for me. After my NYSC, I went in to study masters in analytical chemistry, and that was where I met Caleb. And from my lessons, from the courses I took in analytical chemistry, I kind of realized that I could do more with analytical chemistry if I studied environmental pollution, because I'd taken 1 or 2 courses on the environment, and I realized that as an analytical chemist, you could actually discover more things with environmental pollution. So analytical chemistry at that time seemed a bit more theoretical, and I wanted to apply what I knew in analytical chemistry to solve environmental problems. And then it inspired me to study another master's in environmental pollution. While environmental pollution wasn't pure chemistry, I had courses in microbiology, physics, that was soil physics, microbiology, and other things. But again, because of the foundation I had in chemistry, I excelled in the environmental pollution course compared to some of my other classmates, because again, as an undergraduate in chemistry, I had to take microbiology courses up until 300 level. I took physics course up until 200 level, mathematics. So I would say, again, studying chemistry just gave me that balance in science. Like, I actually have a very balanced view of science or knowledge of science. So after that, I came back to Nigeria. I worked as a laboratory manager, which again, if you don't want to do the core science, work as a core chemist, that is one aspect of chemistry you could look into. You could work as a laboratory manager if you are more of the management person. And it helped me to own leadership skills, organization skills, and I wasn't really doing any chemistry research as at that time, but it was a lot of making sure the lab is functioning properly, putting things together, making sure the reactions are the way it should be. So it was a lot of organization and overseeing. And then after that, I moved to the Netherlands and worked as an environmental analyst. And that was where I met Ada, the president. So I worked as an environmental analyst, and again, that was a very fast-paced environment because I was working in a commercial lab. So I had targets I need to deliver. I need to analyze a certain number of samples in a day, analyze the results, and just, again, that was a different aspect of chemistry that I was not totally familiar with, and it was a good learning experience for me. But the one thing that did for me was it made me realize how much I really liked teaching. And then I started a PhD. I opted out of the job. I started a PhD in soil chemistry and took up a career in lecturing. And this is why I'm saying this is for everybody. I think chemistry has a space for everybody. If you want to work in a fast-paced industrial environment, you have chemistry, there are aspects of chemistry that you're treating. But if you want the slower life, just the, I would not say easy job per se, but like slower life, we want more work-life balance. There are other aspects of chemistry you can fit into. So you don't necessarily have to work in the lab 24/7 as a chemist. That's a myth that is not true. So that's my career in chemistry so far. So I would say my career in chemistry so far has been intentional, and that is what has helped me. I liked chemistry, I picked chemistry, and I've just been intentional about building a career path in chemistry. Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. Next slide.
Sorry, I think there's a problem with the slide, but it will be shared
Okay,
now.
all right. While we're waiting for this slide, just to say, I'm passionate about chemistry and I love chemistry, but I think Fola is addicted to chemistry. So that's the major difference between the two of us. I love chemistry, love to do practical, but our own addiction is, you probably see a lot of chemistry stuffs in our environment, and I don't know. So she's one person I know that loves chemistry more than um I do. Then also to, I don't know, to clear this misconception that usually is present, because I know when we're young and growing up, we would think also people, if you tell somebody you want to be a chemist, what comes to your mind first is maybe those people that sell drugs in pharmacies and everything. But please, that's not what that's not what we do. Anyways, potential careers in chemistry, because this is what matters at the end of the day, because you're doing chemistry because um you want to have a source of income eventually. You probably want to change lives. You want to do something. So this is um, the end goal, like, in a sense. And I would just maybe go through each of them, and Folawe can chip in after I'm done. So you see, one of the first things we mentioned is chemistry education, and that's like, I would like to say, like the major or the first one, in the sense that you can become a lecturer, you can become a teacher, um, you can communicate chemistry in terms of in any way, and that's very good, especially if you find out that you love to teach. Like Falawe said, she loves teaching. I also love teaching. I love interacting with students, and I always find satisfaction in doing that. So that if you find satisfaction in teaching, well, you might not know if you do until you teach, if you've not had any teaching experience. But that's one avenue that exists. So for example, like I talk about my chemistry teacher, you can see this is somebody that was in my life like 15 years ago, and I'm still talking about him today. And you can one of the benefits of teaching is you are able to impact a lot of lives. And many of us still, till today, send him money, send him gifts, because where we are today is because one teacher just decided to be serious with what he was doing. So that's one aspect of chemistry can end up. One aspect that's also very important is research and development. I think this comes to this like at the top, research and development. There would always be chemistry research, chemistry related research going on, and that is needed. And that cuts across different fields. Like you find chemistry in multitudes of research, and this is actively going on, and this would always be relevant. So if you study chemistry, this is one door that would open up for you. The other one is chemistry communication. I'm not so familiar with this, but in terms of the um I don't know if this is very prominent in Nigeria, but in other countries, you find people that have YouTube channels that are able to do very interesting chemistry videos and to communicate chemistry in a very simple manner. The other aspect I think of that chemistry communication is where you are working with a company and you go to represent them at conferences, you go to represent them at maybe expositions and all. I have a friend, she was like the best chemistry student in my set. I think undergraduate and even in masters, she was the best student. So now she's working with a particular company. She's their chief research and development officer, but she's also going around and doing a lot of communication for them. So um, that's one aspect that exists. Then environmental chemistry. The environment is becoming it's very important. People are interested in it, and it will remain relevant for a very long time. So this is where environmental chemistry comes in, because one of the major things that people are interested in is environmental pollution. Like Fola studied, people are interested in how to understand environmental pollution, how to control this pollution, how to make the environment basically safe. And if you do environmental chemistry, you'll be highly sought after in environmental chemistry. Business and entrepreneurship, oh, that's another wonderful area. You see how flexible chemistry is. You can decide to start your own chemistry business. And it can be as simple as creating a chemical product or creating a solution. As I would draw from, there's this girl that I know here, she's from China, and she just finished her PhD, and she's created like a small company, and she created that company from her PhD project. So what she's able to do is she's able to combine artificial intelligence with an analytical equipment. And when she combines these two things together, so a GCMS, if anybody knows what GCMS is, so that's gas chromatography. You will have seen that in high school chemistry. So she combines both GCMS and artificial intelligence, and they are able to predict if when you get old, you will suffer from a particular sickness. So apparently a lot of people are interested in that, and because of that, she started a business from that. And then there's also chemical engineering, where mostly industrial processes, you are involved in industrial processes and all. I will just mention one thing before I hand over to Folawe to talk is one of the things you can do for yourself, still on that slide, still on the previous slide, is one of don't just while studying chemistry, don't just focus on your education in class alone. Try to obtain additional skills and certifications as you're studying in the university. Things like certifications related to safety, related to quality management, and all. If you can acquire that as you're studying chemistry, you'll be hot cake in demand. Over to you, Fola.
Okay, thank you, Caleb. So chemistry education, basically me, I'm a lecturer and I teach chemistry, right? So I'm going to put a bit more focus on chemistry communication because that's one aspect I'm also interested in. So it's not just YouTube videos. So when scientists discover new things in the laboratory, when they do all of that work, somebody has to be able to tell the public in very simple terms what has been done, what is happening in the chemistry world, what's the latest advancement, what new technology has been acquired in the chemistry world. And this is the role of a chemistry communicator. So you're basically communicating what is happening, like a chemistry newscaster, basically, a chemistry journalist, a chemistry writer, right? It is an under it's an undertapped aspect in Nigeria because I don't think, again, we don't really translate. Again, from my experience, one of the problems we have with sciences in Nigeria is we don't tend to translate what we do in the lab to the general public. So a lot of the researches just end up on shelves. But the role of a chemistry communicator is to make sure that the whole world knows what is happening in chemistry. We also publish journals. So in sciences, in research and academia, once you conduct your research, you have to publish that research so that other scientists like you can know what you've done and learn from what you've done. Chemistry journal communicators also serve as chief editors in these journal houses and yes, websites. Yes, I think that's it. So websites, they write on websites, they edit articles in journals and YouTube videos like Caleb has said, and basically just spreading the gospel of chemistry around through whatever means. So it's just like a journalist, but focused on sciences, basically. You could have a chemistry blog. I follow a couple of Instagram accounts that they basically just put out memes on chemistry. And they are not just memes that would make you laugh. They are memes that have a chemistry background in them. So they are putting memes, even pictures. You can see my background. I have a chemist holding a test tube. These are the roles of a chemistry communicator. So again, I think it's an untapped aspect. And again, like I said, chemistry has room for everybody. So if you really love to talk and your parents are insisting you have to go to science class, no problem. Chemistry has a space for you as a communicator. If you really like to write as a science student, you have a role as in your school's magazine, end of the year magazine, while everybody is writing about this and that, about other secular things, put out an article on chemistry or on science, on what is happening, what you read, the latest news. So that's what a chemistry communicator does. Caleb has done justice to the environmental chemist, business and development. I would let you know that soap making is one of the entrepreneurship skills that has gone very viral now. That is simple chemistry. A chemistry started that. You cannot tell me anything. The process of soap making is a simple chemistry reaction that somebody had made into money and everybody is now copying. So again, if you're a business person, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be your own boss, chemistry has a space for you. Come join us. If your parents want you to study engineering, just pick chemical engineering. Don't stress it too much. You will still be doing a lot of chemistry. And just to buttress on the importance of chemistry education, everybody seems to think being a teacher is the lowest of the lowest jobs. And again, because of we are teachers that are slightly underpaid, not even slightly, they're actually very underpaid. But I'll let you know that no one is graduating from a science class without a good chemistry teacher. As a medical student, you're taking chemistry to, at least for your first year, literally everybody admitted into the sciences in their first year has to pass chemistry. If you don't pass chemistry, you're going nowhere. So imagine if everybody decides not to become a chemistry teacher, how are we going to get doctors? How are we going to get engineers? So again, every career is important. I would just like to say every career is important, and we shouldn't be discouraged from studying any course or becoming something because of the perception people have of it. You need to understand your value to be able to give out value. Like Caleb's chemistry teacher, like the man's name would forever be imprinted in the sands of time as making great chemistry. Caleb would not tell his story without his chemistry teacher. Research and development is also very broad. There's pharmaceutical chemistry, toothpaste, or they can now add charcoal to your toothpaste to make your teeth white. That's the work of a chemist. There's a resin adsorption that makes charcoal to be able to absorb the color from your teeth and make it white. That's the work of a chemist. You can now, what other new technology? You now have a new food product. A chemist must have worked on it and discovered food flavoring, and also, again, even as a chef, chemistry would make you a good cook because there's a way you already learn to measure things in chemistry lab with equipment that once you're adding your water to your food, you just know to add just the right amount of 100 mils of water to your jollof rice to make it come out right. So again, chemistry is super, super important, and there's a career for everybody in chemistry, really. And even if you don't pursue chemistry as a pure career, but an interest in chemistry and the knowledge of chemistry would definitely help your career. Even in medicine, there's neuroscience, which is basically based on chemistry of what happens in the brain, the sodium ions, potassium ions, and the neurotransmitters. There's a lot of chemistry in neuroscience. So yes, chemistry is awesome again. Thank you. You can go to the next slide. Okay, I think the next slide just talks about the A to Z of chemistry career. So I just highlighted much more careers in chemistry, so they're a bit more specific, like A for analytical chemistry, and on and on and on. So we might not focus on that because of time, but if you are looking for a career in chemistry, you are looking for an aspect of chemistry you would like to major in, you can go through the list that Salome would put up shortly to help you check what you are interested in. There's a water chemistry, W for water chemistry, and these are people that are involved in producing even bottled water and pure water. It's like chemists are involved in making sure that water is well purified before packaging. There's pharmaceutical chemistry. Yes, so you can see there's biochemistry. If you're a tech person, you really like numbers, you could go into computational chemistry, and that's basically just that's inferring answers from data basically. And I'm not sure if I'm explaining that properly, Caleb, but it's a new aspect of chemistry. It's computational chemistry, even as a data scientist. So if you're really into technology and not just laboratory work, that's one good aspect to explore. So I don't know if Caleb has anything to say on this slide.
Yeah, on the computational chemistry aspect that you mentioned also is it's becoming really prominent, especially with the way technology is becoming more dominant. So what's happening now is the computational chemistry is reducing the amount of experiments that need to be done in the lab, or it's like a preamble to an experiment. So what chemists would now do is, because the system is becoming very accurate in its modeling, so what they will do is they will first of all do the interaction on the computer. It's the same, I think, methods that are used for also drug development. So they do this simulation in the computer and then see all the parameters that will be derived, see the feasibility of the experiment before they go do it in the lab, if they would even do it in the lab at all. So it's becoming very, very um, prominent because it's becoming more accurate. And that's because we're able to use more computational power. So it's something that I'm realizing that if you're doing a PhD in most universities now, they would require that you also add that to um your skills or the things that you can do, because it makes, if you publish any paper, it makes the paper all the more interesting. Yeah, so aside from that, I think, yeah, you've covered everything for that way on this slide. So we can move to the next slide. Lessons learned from chemistry. All right. Critical thinking and problem solving, adaptability and learning from mistakes, precision and paying attention to details. So these are things you would learn when you're studying chemistry. And one of the most important ones is that you have to pay attention to details, and then you have to be able to think properly. So think critically, sorry. So one of the things I realized as I do my own research is you can just keep doing things. You can do a lot of action, because chemistry is a doing science. So you can do a lot of things, but besides just doing, you also have to start thinking, asking yourself questions. Why is this happening? And how can I improve this? Why did this go wrong? So let me give you an example. So for example, just a very simple example. Um, if I'm using a particular equipment, um, and I see that the equipment is not um, giving me the results that I expect. So this is one of the places where you then have to start thinking, and you have to draw on some principles that exist. So, and when you think about it, you're able to find out that, okay, oh, this is why this is happening and all that. And the more you solve such problems, the better you become. So one thing you would benefit from studying chemistry is you would learn how to answer difficult questions. And I think that's very important. And when you learn how to answer difficult questions, the advantage of that is you you don't only apply it to chemistry, you can then apply that to several other items, several other issues, that ability to solve difficult problems. I don't know if you want to say anything about this slide.
Yes, please, can you go back? I would like to say something about this slide. So I'd like to talk about adaptability and learning from mistakes, right? So that's one great skill or one lesson I've learned from being a chemist, is that you cannot just give up when you make one mistake. And this has translated into other aspects of my life. I haven't been an A-star student, right? But for every result I get, I'm thinking, oh, how can I do better? How can I move forward? So chemistry has basically implanted that virtue in me. As a researcher, as a chemist, you would make mistakes in the laboratory. You would perform an experiment and then you don't even get the results you were expecting. In science, we say there is no negative results, right? And we'd learn to go back, critically think and think of what the problem is, and then redo the experiment till you get the right result, or then you reroute, okay, this is what I've been doing wrong, what can I do right? Precision and paying attention to details. You cannot work in the lab without being able to pay attention to details. And as an hobby, I like to sew. And when I'm making a dress, I have realized that one of the reasons why I make good dresses is because I have learned to pay attention to details as a chemist. If I have to fill in, so there's something we call the standard flask. It always has a mark. If you are working on an experiment, you cannot fill your standard flask past the mark. If not, you have to start all over again. And I have repeated that over and over and over again. When you are using the pH meter, you have to be accurate. So there is a level of accuracy and ability to pay attention to details that comes with working in the lab that just translates to other aspects of your life, really. Like people would know, and they would probably not figure out why you're able to do these things, but you know it is chemistry that has taught you these things. It is your time in the laboratory has taught you these things. Someone asked in the comment section, is chemistry that easy? No, chemistry is not that easy, to be very honest. But again, you would acquire skills, you would acquire lessons that with time it becomes a part of you, and it just becomes part of you and just becomes second nature, and then it becomes easy. But at the beginning, it's not easy to acquire something new. It's not easy to acquire a new skill or a new habit. But with time, it becomes second nature, and then it just seems seemingly easy to others. But you know how much struggle it took you to learn these things. Like if you see me filling a standard flask now, you just think, oh wow, how come you can fill your standard flask so perfectly? But that has taken me days of pouring out my chemicals and trying again like 5 times to get it right. So, and then while you are making mistakes, it's not just, oh, you starting all over again. You are learning how to do better. You are learning to solve problems. So even generally in life, when you have a challenge, you are thinking forward. You are thinking, oh, how can this problem be solved? And it translates to entrepreneurship to a lot of people that they've done well, they've created products. Like the girl from China, she has been able to spot a problem and has been able to address that problem and solve that problem. And this is one of the beautiful things you learn from being a chemist. It can go on to the next slide.
And just to write down on that question on, is chemistry easy? Because I think the person says, can I be a chemist in the future? Because people say chemistry is hard in the university. But everything is hard. Everything is hard. So if you are making your decision, it's a very scary thing. I would mention for that particular person. It's a very scary thing to make your decision on whether you should do something based on if it's simple or not. You don't want to start out your life with that because it means you will avoid a lot of things. If anything, you should probably go for the very difficult things because the more you attempt difficult things, the stronger you become, and the how will I put it now? You stand out from the crowd.
Yes.
So if somebody has told you that chemistry is hard, maybe that's the reason you should study it. Maybe that's the reason you should study it. So there's nothing that if you put yourself to that you would not understand and you wouldn't do well in. So that I just wanted to just talk about that. So on this slide, I will just talk about teamwork and collaboration and maybe communication. And then I think for that we can add some extra things. So one of the things I would really recommend that you do while you're in the university, if you're wherever you are, volunteer a lot. Volunteer a lot. Find a means to engage yourself in organizations while you are in the university. So this is for university students. So if you see one of the picture in the middle, which is like Folawe said, this is when we met. You can see, if you look at the picture very well, you see Folawe in the middle and you see me by the side and all. So this was me and my friends. We came together and we did something. So like I said, that's why I was saying, don't just go through the university only focusing on your education. Find something else to do. Now, in terms of teamwork and collaboration, why I'm also talking about volunteering is you might not, with the way things are maybe structured in the syllabus, you might not find a lot of opportunities to work in teams and all, but there might be maybe when you have a lab partner, maybe they give you like a group work. So those opportunities might not be a lot, but if they are, take advantage of it because it will teach you this necessary skill. But on that picture, what I want to really just highlight is don't just go through only doing your education. Find opportunities to volunteer. It makes your university experience very rich. And if you're going to apply to things after university, in addition to you doing well academically, they want to also see that you have engaged in team activities. One of the reasons I was able to get the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, for which I applied to study in the UK, fully funded course, was because of this activity I did with Folawe while we were in the University of Ibadan. So putting this activity in my application made it, they said, okay, this person is not just brilliant, but this person has shown capacity to contribute to his community. And then you see the picture beside that, even here while I'm in Australia, I'm already volunteering. I'm studying, but I'm already volunteering. I'm involving myself in several activities. Like I've done maybe like 10 different activities that I volunteered with people. So always find a way to engage in volunteering. And also, I would also say this on that point. While you're studying, try to make friends with your lecturers. Don't just be friends with your friends. Try to be friends with your teachers. You will thank me later for this advice. Try to be friends with your teachers. Don't finish your school and you're like, hey, oh, how many teachers you know? I don't know anybody. You want to send a message for them to help you in something. There's no lecturer you know that you will send that will answer you. So develop that sense and do that while. Therefore, communication and public speaking skills, it's very, very important. Try to engage in a lot of presentations while you're studying. If the opportunity does not create itself, create the opportunity. Gather maybe 2 or 3 of your friends and say, let's organize our class chemistry presentation and just start presenting. Because your ability to communicate and speak in the public, it will open a lot of doors for you. One thing I have also realized is that ability to communicate and to speak in the public and also write properly. One of the things it has done for me while here in Australia is I've won several awards in conferences just by the ability to communicate my research properly. So I'll hand over to you, Fola,
Okay, thank you. While Caleb has focused on how these skills have helped him, I'm going to focus on how you can acquire these skills from chemistry. And I'll start with communication and public speaking. At the end of every practical, you are required to write a lab report. Just from the way you write your lab report, you are reporting your experiment in an interesting way. You're not just putting back what has been given to you in the methodology. You are thinking of creative ways to write your conclusion, to write your introduction. It starts from there. You are building communication skill. When you have to do a group work, again, we don't do a lot of group work in the Nigeria education system. But if you find yourself somewhere else, or even in a situation where you have to do group work, volunteer yourself, be the one presenting the group work. And when you are presenting, you are not just doing it just to get the marks. Think of interesting ways to present your results, right? And there's one thing in science, your research is not useful. You haven't done anything if you cannot communicate your results in a way that a dad that is a lawyer would understand you. That's no research. So that's why scientists or chemists that have good public speaking skills, that have good writing skills would always stand out. There are journals that once you see the writer, you just want to keep reading the journal. And there are some people that once you read the abstract to their journal, you are just done. Only if you really need the information. Like, it's painful to read what they've done. Even as a scientist, you have to think about, you have to open the dictionary to look at the meaning of words. Think of how to communicate your result in simple, easy, and interesting to understand language. So again, just from your starting from your laboratory report, you can start this, you can start acquiring these skills. Teamwork and collaboration. You are going to have, so again, in the Nigerian context, even when I was in the UK, aside your dissertation or your PhD work, you probably would always have a laboratory partner. The way you relate with your laboratory partner, you learn people's skills. If you are paired with a difficult person as a laboratory partner, that is an opportunity to learn how to deal with difficult people, because you would encounter these people when you start working. So these are areas and good opportunities to start learning. Teamwork, and they say teamwork make the dream work, and it's just very true. While Ada told me I was going to present this, I was like, no, because again, I always think to collaborate with somebody. I was like, no, I have to do this with Caleb. I can't do this alone. So there's that teamwork, there's that spirit of just doing things as a team, working with, and start with working with your laboratory partner. If you are having issues, if you cannot relate well with your laboratory partner, that is a red flag. That is something you need to work on, because how would you be able to relate with other people when you start working? Because again, you would never work alone. No matter the career path, you would actually never work alone. So yes, innovation and creativity. Again, you've learned something in school. Even high school chemistry, high school physics or science, you've learned something. Think of how it relates to your everyday life. Think of how you can apply it. I saw a post on, I think, Bella Ninja, how one girl, she just discovered, I'm trying to remember what she discovered, but it was something from a science class that made her discover this thing, and she's been all over the internet in the last week. So again, what you learn in your chemistry class, as basic as it is, what you learn in your physics class, as basic as it is, this is the foundation of every discovery and every invention that is in science, that is in the real science world. There is no chemist that would achieve anything without having a balanced equation. And as basic as balancing equation is, you literally cannot survive without knowing how to balance equations. So start to think of science beyond what you learn on paper. Start to think of it beyond what they just tell you in class. Start to think of how it applies to your everyday life. When you see something, you're thinking, oh, what's the science behind this thing? Your mom buys you a new skin product. Look at the ingredients, look at the chemical composition. Just get involved, basically, get involved. And that's what it tunes your mind to be innovative and creative. Like it helps you to just think out of the box because, again, you are always thinking and not just thinking of irrelevant things. You are thinking of useful things and relevant things. So, yes, these are some of the few lessons, even though there are more lessons. Resilience. Chemistry will teach you to be tough because you are reading for hours and you actually have to get it. So there are lots of lessons that can be learned from chemistry, but these are just a few. So we can go on to the next one.
Yeah, so the training can be very rigorous. Just to say, the other thing I think about chemistry too is, and let me say this, and maybe these are for students that are still planning to study chemistry. There's usually this statement I hear a lot where people are like, you read, maybe when you read chemistry, you forget what you have read. It's not a strange thing. So that's where the rigor comes in chemistry. Maybe you read and next 5 minutes you're like, they say, what did you read? And you're like, I can't even remember. So that's where part of the rigor in terms of studying chemistry comes. You have to repeat it and repeat it again. And once you get it, you basically get it. So that's part of rigor in reading. And in general, chemistry rewards hard work. It's not a very simple thing you can just get by. The training can be very rigorous and it demands a lot of effort. I would say, and that has helped me even right from I was doing that as far back as secondary school, where I would read a lot. I would read beyond what our teachers taught us. When I got to university, we would read, we would do overnight and all. And now that I'm doing my PhD, even my supervisor began to really notice the the depth of my work, the sacrifice of my work. I can be in the lab till like 11 p.m. and I'm doing experiments. I don't do that now that I'm rounding up and up. But at the beginning, it's, it was just that work ethic was just there. So one of the things I don't think is a downside. It's probably just a downside for people that are very lazy. Um, but you will you will put in a lot of work. Then no immediate recognition. Initially, you would not be recognized. So chemistry is the kind of science that you are the one to show people that it is useful. It's not like all these other courses or activities that already have a name and all. Say like doctor, yeah, lawyer. You have to show people that chemistry is useful, and that's a very nice challenge. But eventually, once you're able to do that, oh, you'll be it's you're off the ground, and it's just gonna keep on producing good results for you. I think Folawe would really talk well about life work balance. No, all right, over to you, Folawe.
Okay, thank you, Caleb. So yes, I'm going to start with little work-life balance. Again, in 2022/2023, I was working in a commercial laboratory and it was very fast-paced. Like they had to deliver to meet up with targets and all. So that way you have to be in the lab. If you are working as a research scientist, you cannot carry the lab to your house, so you cannot work from home. So while you have your tech guys or your lawyers working from home, you have to be in the lab. If you are working at 8 to 5, you have to be in the lab 8 to 5, which can be demanding in a world that everybody is moving towards the work from home. So you know that is a sacrifice you have to make. But again, if you are not up for that life like me, I'm not totally up for that kind of life. You can go into education, you can go into communication, you can go into the managerial part of chemistry. You could work as a laboratory manager. Because I remembered while I was working in the lab, while we the analysts were constantly in the lab, our manager could work from home. So again, these are not totally downsides, but it's preparing for the reality. It's not all rainbow and sunshine with chemistry, like we make it seem. But knowing, being aware of what you are entering actually helps. So it's not like, oh, what I ordered versus what I got. Why did you tell me chemistry? So I have to be at work 9 hours. Why can't I work from home? So that's just the truth. Again, competitive job markets. The job market is very competitive for chemistry. As much as we have vast areas where we can work, it's competitive because for you to stand out, for you to be able to secure a job, you must stand out, right? And
Yes.
study to a certain extent. Having just a BSc in chemistry might get you into the door, but might not keep you in. You have to almost always do a PhD, and no matter what sector you go into, you actually almost would need a PhD. So you need to stand out. It's especially when you're in a country like Nigeria where we don't have lots of industries, it becomes 10 times more difficult. So you actually have to be able, like Caleb said, you have to be able to show people that you have value as a chemist. If I'm approaching a company, if I'm approaching a soap making company, for example, I have to be able to show the difference between myself as a chemist and someone that has just learned that, oh, pour 1 bucket of soda into 1 bucket of water. I have to be able to show that this is what I bring into the company as a chemist, because again, a lot of people like to cut corners, and they just have they don't know the science behind what they are doing, but they just know to mix things and this and that together. But you as a chemist, you must be able to show that I know why this is the science behind what people are doing, for you to be able to get accepted into the job market. So the job market can be competitive because for a country like Nigeria, we have limited industrial sector. Research can be a bit stunted, but outside of Nigeria, there's a vast or wider market. But again, you have to work your way to the top with chemistry. You have to start from the entry level roles and work your way to the top. But again, highlighting what aspects you want to work in would help. That's like the first aspect. Be intentional. Like me, I was quite intentional about my chemistry career. I knew what I wanted to do, and I kind of targeted, even while I wasn't lecturing, I used to tutor. So I was owning my teaching skills even while I was working in the laboratory. While I was the laboratory manager, I still used to tutor online because I knew I wanted to teach eventually. So when the opportunity for a lecturing job came, I had something to show that, oh, I've been teaching before. I'm not just coming in afresh. So again, with chemistry, you might not get the immediate recognition. You have to show your work. You have to show what you are doing for you to get recognized. But I would say that it's a journey that is well worth it if you find your feet. So yeah.
And just to add on something just to emphasize something you mentioned is that it's not just enough to know how, it's probably more important to know why. Because if you know why, it will be easier to know how. And one of the things that will start teaching you to have that kind of mindset is where you're no longer doing examinations just to pass the exams. You understand, that kind of thing where you just cram the information, you pour it for them, and you've forgotten about it. But if you understand what you are doing right from the days of your examinations and undergraduate days, it will show when you finish and you're applying for these jobs, because when they're interviewing other people that just passed exams, you stand out because you are able to answer questions and prefer solutions. So it's good you start developing that mindset, not just how, but also why. On this side, how to buffer the negative. Okay. Um, I'll start from the one in the. And let me just talk a bit about goal setting. I would say for those that have not started their career in started their studying in chemistry, they are not in the university yet. Even if you're in the university, I would say one of the best things you can do for yourself is to finish before you start, or to finish before you finish. And that would be like you say, Fola said, she's been intentional. And I've known her for quite a while, and I've seen that intentionality, and it's made her make certain decisions with a lot of confidence. So if you plan the end from the beginning, it will make a lot of things easier for you. So you begin to start asking yourself, all right, I want to study chemistry. Why do I want to study chemistry? What do I plan to do with this chemistry that I'm studying? Okay, maybe my target is to become an analytical chemist. So one of the things you can do is, okay, you go online. What are the requirements for being an analytical chemist? Apart from having the chemistry certificate, I know somebody was asking on the chat what other certificates that you can get. So when you check, you see that okay, an analytical chemist must know certain international standards that exist. An analytical chemist must know how to do internal auditing for labs and several other skills that exist. So what will happen is you would now, as you're studying chemistry, you will start acquiring those skills so that when you finish, you are all rounded. So by the time you are making your application for the job, they are like, this person just stands out. And that's as a result of you've planned ahead before you finish. So then mentorship is very, very important. Mentorship is very, very important. When you have a mentor, it makes things like 1,000 times easier because you already see a template of what you would like to be. And you save yourself from a lot of unnecessary mistakes. The absence of a mentor means you will make a lot of mistakes and you will learn. But if you have a mentor, it will save you a lot of time. And you should choose your mentor very well. Don't choose a mentor that you don't want to be like. Don't choose somebody as your mentor just because the person is older than you. That's not a requirement. Some people are older than you, but you are wiser than them. So choose wisely. Just I remember when we were starting 100, when 100 level, we were about to do chemistry 157, and I was meeting several people, I would call them mentors, several seniors. And one of the seniors I met told me that I should just forget about it. I'm not going to pass chemistry 157. Nobody, don't forget, don't try, don't just bother. And it just failed me already before I started. It just finished my morale. And but what I did is I didn't stop with that guy. I looked for other people that told me it's possible, you can pass it, and also find, get a mentor. Get a mentor. Even if you have to send them one very respectful message, tell them you just want 10 minutes of their time, and find a mentor. There's somebody you know that you can take advantage of. I was listening to something yesterday, and they said that you are a product of the top 5 people that you spend your time with. So begin to think about that. Mentorship, also, it's also friendship. Surround yourself with people that will benefit you. Then the last one on this list is be outstanding. Very important. Do not be mediocre. Don't, 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 if you are mediocre at the moment, take this as an inspiration to stand up, dust yourself, and leave that mediocre crowd alone. Strive for excellence. It's not an impossibility. There's nobody that is born stupid. So stop thinking that you just don't know anything, that's just you. You are like that. You are not, you just don't know. There's nothing you cannot know. Stupidity is not a genetic trait. It's not a, so you can be outstanding. I use myself as an example. I was not always this excellent. There were times where we were among those that on the back, and there were reasons for that. But make up your mind, I'm going to be the best. And even if you fail, try again. Set it as a target. I'm going to excel in this thing. Set it as a target. Mix it with people that are doing well. Make your friends. Don't make your friends. I remember I was sharing a testimony when we were in 100 level. Oh my God. If I score below 70, that was my mindset when I got into university. 70 was A. If I score below 70, I considered that I had failed that course. Like I considered it as failure. But there were some people. I remember two girls in particular. Oh, I can never forget that thing. The results had just come outside and they scored 40. The way these girls were happy, they were happier than me that scored 70. They say, hey, we escape, we escape. I said, Jesus Christ. but it was no surprise that those girls were not with us in 200 level. They soon, what UI would say, tsunami carried them and carried them away. So please, that was just to emphasize, choose to be astounding. It's a choice. Over to you for that.
Okay, thank you, Caleb. I think Caleb has done justice. I would just like to say, as just vice president, please take advantage of mentorship. You have me, you have Caleb, I have other people that work in different aspects of chemistry also. So if you would like a mentor in chemistry, please reach out after to this program, or if you are watching this later, reach out and we can always hook you up. Going for industrial training is part of mentorship, just getting that industrial experience while you are still at school. If you need help with things like basically navigating your way around getting a career in chemistry, please make use of the opportunity that JuCE is offering. Thank you. So question time.
Sorry, so just a quick, I just wanted to say a few things. So there are a few questions in the chat that you guys have already addressed while you were speaking. But I also wanted to mention a few things. So please, if you have questions, either raise your hand or drop it in the chat. And the mentors are going to get to it. But first of all, I just wanted to say I really, really love this presentation. There was something Fola said that if you're explaining something to a layman and they cannot relate, you've done a terrible job of doing that. I fell in love with chemistry listening to this, and I've known Fola for a few years, and I just know how deeply passionate she is about it and all of that. But listening today, I'm like, whoa, And I want to say a few things and connect it to the vision that JuCE has. First of all, if you're on this call today and you're a student, even if you're not interested in chemistry, I think there are a few salient messages that they have passed. Caleb kept emphasizing excellence is not, out of reach. So whatever you think you want to do, explore and go to the nth degree to do it. Be excellent. We preach about that a lot at JuCE, but I'm really happy to see that, they kept highlighting some of these salient messages. Fola said something about if you like to talk and your parents want you to study science, there's a place for you in chemistry communication. And I find that to be so powerful because growing up, or I'm sure for the teenagers or students who are on this call, there's the understanding that if you read a lot and you talk a lot, go to science class. You must be a lawyer, And maybe you like sciences, maybe you enjoy it, but you also like to talk. In fact, when I met Fola, one of the things we connected the most on was our love for literature. Fola reads prolifically. Fola reads a lot. And she talks a lot too, but not in a bad way, but she has a lot of knowledge and information to share. And it was a shock to me that she was in the science field, but it makes sense. She's also one of just the most intelligent people I've met, so this makes sense. So it's really a way to show. And then she was talking about, even combining your love for chemistry with, content creation and all of that. And we keep saying at JuCE, there's something we like to do in Nigeria. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a this. Your life, you have a long and beautiful life that does not have to be limited by one thing. You don't have to be a lawyer who is just doing law for 100 years. You can be a lawyer who writes and who reads and who, enjoys chemistry. So she maybe does, listens and watches some of these chemistry shows or blogs and all of that. The idea is you have a long and beautiful life, so explore as many interests as possible. And then Fola has said, Caleb said this about volunteering. We are so big on volunteering within JuCE. I think we mention it every other call we have. And volunteering doesn't have to start when you are, old and, you have money and you want to give back. Start small. Volunteering can be as simple as, there's this area of our school that is so messy. I care about the environment. I will clear it up. What that does for you when you're applying to university to say, I cared so much about this that I started a team or a group and we do this. 100 people can have A1s. 100 people can be best graduating students. If you think about yourself in your little school in Lagos or in Enugu or in JuCE, there are 36 states in just Nigeria. There are maybe 20 million teenagers in just Nigeria. But then there are students applying from India, from China, who have 50 billion A1s. What sets you apart is how you bring what you care about to real life. Okay, so what are the things you're doing outside of your academics? And that's also an element of excellence, showing that you don't just stop at academics to be excellent, you go further in life, you know. And I know this is important, especially because in secondary school, you're trying to blend in. You don't want to be the one who is not cool. You want to be the one who is doing the, please, as Caleb has said, remove yourself from a pack of let's just do what we can, you know, okay, we got, you know, strive to be excellent in every area and ramification of your life. And that's where I think they also said it when answering the question, is chemistry easy? That's where life is exciting. One of the most exciting things in life is the fact that if you look, you say, oh, I couldn't do this before. An example is I love to run. And sometimes I'll run like 26 kilometers, 31 kilometers. Next year, I plan to run a marathon. And my friends will say, what's wrong with you? You just wake up, you start running. You just wake up, you start pushing weights in the gym. And for me, it's not about anything. It's the fact that I can tell myself, you know, last year I couldn't do that. Last year, if I would run 2 minutes, I'm like, oh God, what's happening? I'm tired. But this year I can do that. And what that does for you is that there's nothing put in front of you. You know, you believe you can do anything because you've done it before. You've done it before with something else. So now any other thing put in front of you, you can do it. So challenge yourself to be great, to be excellent, to be incredible. And JuCE is here to help you do that. JuCE is here to give you ideas on how to volunteer. JuCE is here to partner you up with mentors in chemistry or any other field of study to support you on the journey. JuCE is here to help you, okay? So I just wanted to point that back to the message JuCE has. But thank you so much to Caleb and Fola for already, voicing those things. They're incredible messages. So in terms of the questions, I'm just going to read them all out, then you guys can answer it because we are out of time. So someone says, okay, sorry, this was me. By the way, I read a quote that said, chemistry is cooking, don't just lick the spoon. So I found that to be so funny. So someone says, is chemistry easy? Can I be a chemist in future? Because, okay, you guys have answered that. Someone asked, what are the best / most lucrative careers in chemistry? I think you guys have also answered this other question, but I'll just mention it again. What are the other certifications someone can acquire that are related to chemistry? And then another question, what do you think is the best method for studying chemistry? So I guess this is someone who might struggle with studying it and maybe needs tips. And then a question which I think is quite interesting. What role do you see chemistry playing in addressing climate change? So, yeah.
Okay. Certifications, other certifications that you can, depending on what field you're planning to go into. Like I said, it's always good for a chemist to have something related to safety. And I know what I remember from UI, there were a lot of opportunities to get HSC certificates. And then if you can also, especially for those who would work in the lab, if you can get trainings that are related to specific standards. For example, you have things like ISO 17025, and there are a multitude of certificates. And so depending on where you want to, if you want to end up in the lab, get lab-based certificates. But like the most generic one I would say is things that have to do with safety.
Okay, I'll add to that. So again, chemistry is really evolving. And remember, we mentioned computational chemistry. So a good skill to acquire as a chemist now are programming skills. Python, I am currently learning R language, which I should have learned years ago, but now PhD is pushing me to learn R language and Python programming. So programming skills are really good skills for you to learn in chemistry now. Like Caleb said, depending on the aspect of chemistry you are going into, that will determine what skills. But we don't have like the ICANN examination in accounting or the MBA. We don't have certifications like that really in chemistry. It's just specific to each industry. Another thing that helps in chemistry is joining associations. So from these associations, they would offer trainings, and it's just like it's how would I put it? It's like someone putting a stamp on you that, oh, this person is a chemist, because like I belong to the Royal Society of Chemistry, and if you see my certificate as a member of the Royal Society of Chemistry, you just know that I am a chemist and it's not just by mouth, right? So joining associations like this for Nigerian students, we have the Student Chemical Society of Nigeria. So there are different organizations like that. We have organizations for like physical chemists, food chemists. So joining organizations like that aside certifications are useful, would be useful. And then just again, chemistry is more of training. If you want to work as an analytical chemist, volunteering in the lab that uses these analytical equipment and gaining hands-on knowledge as a chemist, to be very honest, they want to see your like what you can do really. So it's more of gaining the hands-on skill than actually just acquiring the certificates. And I would like to just address the next question. Someone says, what do you think of the chemistry syllabus in Nigerian schools? So I know we like to think that the education system in Nigeria is bad, it's horrible, but the Nigerian syllabus, it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad, because I also teach A-level students in the UK. I teach GCSE students in the UK. And GCSE is kind of the equivalent of secondary school, high school chemistry in Nigeria, and it's almost very similar syllabus. It's just the method of delivery that differs. While a Nigerian teacher is placing a lot of emphasis on you cramming definitions and all, there's a bit more of practical, and even the way the textbooks are presented. For a lot of textbooks in the UK, they're very graphic, they're animated. While in Nigeria, we know the way Ababio looks like. It's just lots of words. So I would say that's the major difference. But really, chemistry is chemistry, either in the UK or in Australia or in Canada. The topics are the same, basically. It's just the method of delivery that is different. And I'd like to encourage every teacher out here on this call, try to make your classes more interactive. Bring it home to your students. Don't just teach them a topic. Try to relate it, even if it's the history behind that topic. Try to relate it so that the students at least have a bit of background on what the topic says. So I don't think there's a big fault in the chemistry syllabus in Nigeria. It's just the method of delivery that can be different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In
What
terms
other
of,
question?
there's a look, what was the best lucrative career in chemistry? Well, if you are referring to which career you would earn a lot of money, I assume that's what you mean. Um, it depends. I could just say maybe go work in oil industry. You will eat oil money. Maybe that's the simple answer. But I think with whatever whatever field you decide to go, you can actually turn it. It's in your hands. You can turn it into something that would make you a lot of money and that will fulfill you. And then for
Yeah.
yeah, for that we want to
I wanted to add to
yeah, yeah.
yes, quickly. So again, like what Caleb said, it is what you make out of your career. I would have also said the pharmaceutical industry, because there's a lot of money in that also. But even as a chemistry teacher, like we all know how underpaid Nigerian lecturers are, but I don't look starved because again, I channel my knowledge of chemistry into other things. Like I said, I do online tutoring and I don't even get paid in Naira. So there's a way there's a way you have to show people that you have value. How can I convince people in the UK that I, living in Nigeria, can impact chemistry into them. I've learned to be creative. I've studied the syllabus. I've learned new methods of teaching that are different from the Nigerian methods that I was trained with or I'm used to. So again, you can make money. It's just that money is relative. Truly, money is relative, but you can really make money out of any aspect of chemistry. And I would say passion leads. While I was working in the lab in Netherlands, I was making more money, but I was really not, I got tired at a point because of the work-life balance thing. So again, it depends on what value and what you are passionate about, what truly you are passionate about. I wouldn't get you frustrated at the end of the day. So yes.
I think the final question, because you've answered the one about climate change, is the best method for studying chemistry. And I think I would just say the first thing to work on for that person is first of all, change your mindset. First thing you need to tell yourself is chemistry is, I can understand chemistry. Chemistry is easy, and I'm not stupid. So change your mindset, and then you are consistent. Try to understand what you're reading. Don't just collect the information. Try to understand it. Be consistent. Keep at it, and then take advantage of group work. Get friends that would explain or read with you. And I think if you do that, it will be easy for you will get chemistry. You will get chemistry.
I would add to that again. I was talking to a student just before this call, and I told her that sometimes you need to focus more on progress than perfection. And that has helped me. When you are learning, you don't have to get it at once. You don't have to get practice with time. Those things just become very easy. And then you are not just rushing. So last doesn't work well with chemistry because again, a typical chemistry undergraduate course, you are retaining so much information that it's almost impossible for you to do well when you do last minute reading. Acronyms have helped me. So when I have so much information to learn, I kind of derive an acronym for some things like oil rig. Oxidation is loss of electrons, reduction is gain of electrons. So acronyms help. Now I Google memes on chemistry topics. So when I see the meme, it brings it home. It helps me to remember. I was also and yes, progress over perfection. So yep.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Fola and Caleb, for this deeply incredible session. I had such a blast listening to you guys, and I've already gotten feedback from someone. And he said this is a really good session, and he is a lawyer, so high praise for you guys, you know. So thank you so much, guys.
You could be a lawyer,
Thank you.
a chemist, yeah, environmental lawyer. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can look into that. But yeah, thank you so much. So we're going
Thank
to,
you for having us.
yeah, we're going to go very quickly into the last thing. Actually, this is the last session for JuCE for 2024. And just to give context, we launched JuCE this year in March 2024. So we're rounding up the first year of JuCE in existence. So that is very exciting for me, but also very exciting for everyone on our team. A few months ago, I think in September, we launched an essay writing competition. Actually, it's not a competition. There's a training for how do I say this? There's a training. There's an online training that we wanted the secondary school students who joined JuCE to participate in. The training is offered by Eton College, and it's basically a training on public speaking, on research, on entrepreneurship, on reading, all sorts of things. So we wanted the JuCE secondary school students to, write an application to say why they think they should be considered for this training, because we plan to sponsor 4 students to take this training. So essays were written, and we selected the top 4 of these essays. Fola, in her capacity as JuCE VP is going to announce the winners of these essays. I see some of them on the call. I'm not sure if they're still on the call, but at least I saw one of them. So, so Fola, over to you, and you can say a few words about why and how we chose the people we chose, and then the next slide will be the names of the students.
Okay, thank you. So it was quite interesting reading the essays, and yes, it was, I'll say, a tough pick, but we had to pick four students. We had to pick four students, and I'll wait for Salome to project the names. So yes, you can see the names. Pardon me if I am not pronouncing your names properly. Aniesa Adola. We have David Eileson, Lawrence Ikide. We have Nwato Mesoma Esther, and we have Aniamalu Ngozika Deborah. So these were the four people we picked based on the essays they had written, right? And so I'll just state some observations from reading the essays and why we selected these people. So the students had the topic to write on, and they were to write on. So the course they are taking has like different aspects: public speaking, or study skills. So we told them to write an essay on why they wanted to study that course and why they should be picked. So first off was the form of writing, the style of writing. When you are writing, you don't just download things from Google and just write it back, right? You again bring it home. Creativity. So everything you do, you actually have to think of how does this stand out from the next person. And for one of the essays that was picked, she told a story that was individualized. It was her story, and she brought it home to why she needed that course, which allowed her essay to stand out. So it was not just about telling us, oh, this is what study skills are, and just giving us Google information, right? While there's a need for background information, but there was also a need to individualize your story. Write it in a way that the story is yours, and not just, if I put your story on Google, it's not going to show up under someone else's name. If I change some things in that, would it still fit into someone else's story? The story has to be yours. The essay was supposed to be yours. So again, when you are writing, be creative in your writing. Think of how this essay can stand out from other people's story. While Google is a tool, so remember that Google is a tool, an information tool to get information that would be useful. It doesn't do the job for you. You still have to think about this information that I have read about. You think, and that is what is called critical analysis. You critically think of the information you've gotten and how it applies to you and the topic. So it's not just you giving me information I can find on Google. So I'll say the style of writing, the relevance of what you've written to the topic, the relevance of what you've written to the topic, passion. It was supposed to show passion. It was asking like, why should I pick you for this course? Some of the essays or a lot of the essays did not show that passion. Fine, we get the gist of why you wanted it, but there's a place of passion, like why you, why not someone else? Your essays, when you have essays like that, it should show why you and not someone else. I would also say what counts. A lot of people, some people just wrote 3 paragraphs and they're like, take this, and kept it moving. When there's a word count, you don't write too much under the word count. In fact, the general rule in academia is 10% under or 10% above. So if you have to write a 500-word essay, you can either write a minimum of 450 or a maximum of 550. Not 600 or 700, that would be too much, and not 300 or 200, that would be too little. So that's something to pay attention to. Also, just writing. So we understand that some, like you guys don't have access to computers, or you might not have access to computers, but even with your phone, you can download Microsoft Word on your phone and type with it, instead of just writing out with your own normal writing. Because again, I was biased towards some writing, because some people had very beautiful writings, and some people, due to no particular fault of theirs, they just don't have as much of a pretty handwriting as others, which could put them at a disadvantage. So just typing out on Microsoft Word, and again, you don't even need a computer to access Microsoft Word. If you have WhatsApp on your phone, you can download Microsoft Word and just type these things on your phone. So this is just in case for competitions you would engage in outside of even JuCE, right? So presentation matters. The way you present your essay, it matters. You are trying to put your best self forward. You are not there to defend what you've written. Your essay is the one speaking for you. So when I look at your essay, someone actually wrote on very rough paper, and I'm just like, okay, what's happening? So me just, no matter what you write, me just saying the rough paper, just, it says a lot about the kind of person that you are, even without reading the essay. So again, when you write these essays or when you are going for any competition, just have it in mind that I am not here to represent myself, but this piece of writing I am putting out is what is representing me, and what does it say about me? So, and how does it stand me out? So I think those are the few points I would like to make concerning the essay, but it's good effort on everybody's part. And if you were not picked for this round, it shouldn't discourage you from participating in other competitions. Again, progress over perfection. You get better when you do things repeatedly. Someone put it out during the month that I think she applied to about 100 opportunities and she only got 5 out of the, and this is a top tier person. She runs a company and she only got 5. So the more you participate in these things, the better you get at it, and the higher the chances of winning or getting these opportunities. Caleb would tell you how many scholarships he applies to before he finally got a PhD position. So again, these are skills that you learn beyond just write. It's not just only about writing the essays. These are real life skills that you are learning. So again, congratulations to the winners, and I wish you guys all the best, and I hope you are able to follow through with the course and not just register for the course and not attend the course. Because again, these courses will teach you real life skills that are applicable, like really, really applicable, not just for today, but like they are skills that will stay with you for the rest of your life. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
And congratulations to the winner.
thank you, Fola. So we'll be rounding up very quickly. If any of the winners, if anyone who is a winner is on the call, please text us on our JuCE phone number, or send us an email. We will also be sending a congratulatory letter, and then we will be going forward to pay for the course for you. There will be a lot more scholarship opportunities and competitions coming up next year. So if you did not participate, because I know some people also could not participate, next year is a great time. We also will be hosting physical boot camps next year, on writing, on public speaking, learning. Last 2 weeks, we had a translator talking about learning Mandarin. She will be there teaching about learning Mandarin, or any other second language. But the point is, we'll be having a physical boot camp, and that's, we speak a lot about networking, and Caleb spoke today about having friends outside of school. It's not just schoolwork. So that's a wonderful opportunity for you to already connect with other students, connect with mentors, connect with people. So that's going to be happening next year. We're going to be relaunching / opening up for the new year in February, but we will be in touch with all the details for all the exciting things we have coming up next year. But just to say a quick thank you so much to everyone who has made JuCE a success for the first year. It's been such an incredible year. We've learned a lot in JuCE, and we have a lot of exciting stuff we hope to improve and implement for next year. Thank you to every single mentor who has spoken here. Thank you to the mentors specifically for today, Caleb and Fola. You guys are incredible. And thank you to all the students and the teachers who show up, who ask questions, who engage in this call, but also outside of the call. The reason we do this is to be able to support the Nigerian students. And by showing up here, especially, I see that, I'm not sure they're still here, but the Dancehall Hostel was here. Thank you guys so much for partnering with us. But to be able to really impact the lives of secondary school students, support you in your journey. That's why we're here, and we're really excited to have that opportunity to do that. So thank you so much, guys, and we will be seeing you next year. These are all the places to connect with us: info@juiceafrica.org or our social media platforms. But yeah, it's been a great time today. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely weekend. Goodbye. Yeah, I'm going to stop recording now.
Wait, Ada, please don't end. I think someone said this question has not been answered, but we answered.
Sorry. What question was that?
What's the best method for studying chemistry? I think we answered already.
Oh yeah, we answered that. Is it that you were not paying attention? But okay, we answered that. But Fola, could you say a few words again, if that's okay?
Okay, let me see if the person is still online to be sure. Okay, the person is still online. So I mentioned about progress over perfection. You first of all focus on understanding the topic and not just cramming, and you learn little by little. I mentioned about starting to learn early. You don't wait till almost exam time to learn. It seems like what everybody would say, but it's just the truth, because again, chemistry can be very bulky. So the earlier you start, the better you can retain the information and the better you would understand the topic. I talked about using acronyms. Something like oxidation is loss of electrons, oil. Reduction is gain of electrons, rig. So every time I need to remember what oxidation is and what reduction is, I think of oil rig. So I kind of use acronyms. I learn with memes too. I can be a visual learner. So sometimes I just go online to Google memes on the topic I want and then try to relate it with what I'm learning. I'm trying to remember what Caleb spoke about. I think Caleb also spoke about reading with friends. Caleb spoke about reading with friends and not just reading alone. And he said nothing is impossible to learn. Yes, Caleb spoke about how there's nothing impossible to learn. You just have to put your mind to what you are learning to be able to get it. There's nothing difficult for you to learn. You can also go on YouTube to get more explanations and more understanding. So again, I would say for learning in chemistry, for me, it's slow and steady. And everybody has an end goal. So the earlier you start, the better you can catch up with everybody at the end goal, but they don't catch latecomers. If you start learning 2 months ahead of everybody, you would all still, if you still get an A, nobody's going to know how long it took you to figure it out. For me, it takes me a while longer. That I used to study with Caleb, and Caleb would get something in 10 minutes, and for 15, 30 minutes, I'm still struggling to get the same thing. But at the end of the day, as far as I do well during exams and I totally understand the topic, nobody would know it took me 1 hour, 2 hours. So sometimes be gentle, be graceful to yourself. If you've learned something and you've forgotten, take a slow breath, take time off, come back to it and study it again. And again, focus more on understanding than just cramming the topic is what I would say. Someone also said...
Fola, sorry, 1 minute.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to speak on the topic of ways to study chemistry. Full disclosure, I'm not a chemist. I did not study chemistry, but I just want to speak about general study skills. I studied law, and when I was in junior school, I was a straight A student. You know, I would always get all A's, but I would always struggle with math. You know, mathematics, I'll have B or C. You know, and in a result that is like A, and then math, I was having C. It wasn't good. And at some point, I made a statement and I told my dad, it's not like I need math. I'm going to be a lawyer. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. And my father told me, I've said this a lot, you'll be a lawyer by choice, not limitation. And what that means is you'll not be a lawyer who is a lawyer because she did not know math. You'll be a lawyer who chose law because she loves law, and that's what it is. So he kept pushing for me to, up my math score. And this is what I did. Anything, if you struggle with studying anything, it needs time. Caleb has said it, you're not too stupid for anything. you're not too, there's nothing that is too difficult in the world. My dad will say, see the person who wrote that math textbook, they are not more brilliant than you. They just have more years of experience doing it. Give it the same number of time. So if you're struggling with any subject, if before you just used to study it like, oh, let me study to pass exams, what I did for math, and when I say this, maybe it sounds, oh, far-fetched, I'm trying to make you feel better. I once had 13 over 100 in an exam. I was a straight A student who was going to repeat because I had 13 over 100 in math. So 13 over 100 first term, second term, I think I have 50 something. The third term, if I did not get an A in math, I was going to repeat. I'd never gotten an A in math before. This is what I did every day for 1 hour. It did not matter if I was sick, if I was hungry. It did not matter if I hadn't done anything else. I would do math 1 hour a day. I would study. I went to the most brilliant girls in class who got A's. It's funny because those were like my competitors. Those were the same girls that if I was first, I never was first because they always did better in math. So they were first, I was second. If I was second, they were first, second. Sorry, if I was third, they were first, second, and then I was third. I went to them, I humbled myself, and I was like, guys, teach me. Honestly. And so every hour for 1 day, I would do math with them. Sometimes I'll do it alone because they don't have time, sometimes. And what seemed impossible, I had never gotten an A in math. I got an A. And I cannot sit down now and tell you what beautiful skills outside of it was time. Give it time. Whatever you struggle with, show up every day. That's the way marathon runners train. These people, these Kenyan people you see who run, and you say, they're so fit. What they do is every day they show up. I was watching something about Usain Bolt, and he said Usain Bolt is one of the world's fastest runners. I don't think anyone has broken his record. And he said he showed up every day training for 6 years. He never missed a day. Michael Phelps, the same thing, never missed a day. Anything you need to learn, don't miss 1 day. Because the thing with time is the more you do it, eventually you get it. And you might not know how you got it, you will just get it. So I just want to encourage you, Nacelle. You asked the question, just keep giving it time, keep showing up every day, keep reading it, keep answering it. And one thing personally, I know everybody is not religious, but one thing personally I advocate is when you open your book, just say, God, help me. I need to pass this paper. I want to understand. Give me understanding. Give me insight. Help me to see. Help me to see these things that others see that I'm not seeing. You don't have to bind and cast fast and kabash. All you need to do is to really just say those words and you will be helped. That's one of the, and this prayer, I say it for every single thing. I've gone on to get to do a master's in science, economics and logistics. So I was doing a lot with math in my life. So I'm a lawyer, I have an LLM, and I have a master's in science. And I've done a lot of math later in my life. And I can tell you that prayer, I've prayed it plenty of times, but giving it time, showing up every day and giving it time. So yeah, thanks. I think the person who asked the question has said thank you. So I think he's good.
Thank you, Ada.
And I think there was a question about the trends in chemistry.
Chemistry. Okay, so I'll just quickly answer that. So there's a lot of focus on the environment because we all can see the effect of the degrading environment. So there's a lot of research going on pollutants, agriculture. I, for one, am doing a PhD in something in between agriculture and chemistry, actually more of agriculture. So what I'm doing is the chemistry of the soil. How does it affect productivity of plants? So there is that. So there's a lot of research going on around food, agriculture, food, the environment in chemistry. Then, like Caleb said, there's computational chemistry, which is a fairly new aspect of chemistry. And COVID made it an important aspect of chemistry because during COVID, a lot of people could not go into the lab. So they had to start. There was already research going on in computational chemistry, but it became actually like super important to use models. So instead of, for example, when you want to test in organic chemistry, they would test some of their extract on rats. So instead of testing directly on rats, because again, there's a lot of advocacy for animal health and animal rights and all. So instead of using animals for testing, you model the effect first on programs and see what the result is before you actually carry out. So again, and that's where programming comes in. You have to be super good in machine learning, AI, Python language, all of all those programming language, super important. Part of my PhD now, I'm doing a meta-analysis, and this is basically using other people's results to simulate my own results to predict what effect I'm going to get in the field instead of actually doing a field study. And that's why I'm able to study in the UK and live in Nigeria currently. So again, there's a lot of focus people are starting to see the need to take things out of the lab and be able to walk away from the lab again, thanks to COVID. So if you are looking for the future of chemistry, I would say goes beyond the lab. It's more on, again, everybody's saying AI, artificial intelligence, and chemistry is not lagging behind. So if you are looking for something to focus on, you could focus on that. While you are learning the languages, you might not get the immediate application in, because most of the online courses wouldn't give you the chemistry application. But trust me, there will be a time once you start, like if you are into proper research. There's also pharmaceutical chemistry, because again, you know how everybody's looking for cure to this, cure to that, and drugs play a very big role in finding cure in the world generally. So a lot of pharmaceutical companies use chemists, they make use of chemists. And yes, so I would say those are the really trending areas of chemistry that we have currently going on. So thank you very much.
Thank you to the person who asked the question. I hope that has answered your question. And thank you, Fola, for staying back to to do this. Thank you to everyone who stayed till the very end. You guys are incredible. Yeah, I hope everyone has a lovely weekend, and I hope everyone has a lovely time. Please indeed feel free to connect with us if you need any support, or if you would like to volunteer, if you like the work we do here and you think this is something you want to be associated with. Please connect with us you can just go to our website, juiceafrica.org, and you can connect with us. Our number is there, our email, all of that is there. And yeah, thank you, Nasel and Nahoro. I'm really happy to read your feedback. It warms my heart. So thank you, everybody. Have a lovely weekend and have a lovely Christmas in advance, and enjoy your holiday. Goodbye. Thank you.